Hey traders, before we get started with today's video, I wanted to let you know about today's video sponsor, LonghornFX. LonghornFX is a Forex and CFD broker that allows traders to trade with up to 1 to 500 leverage, trade all sorts of different cryptocurrencies, currency pairs, stocks, indices. It has a wide range of things available to traders with, again, leverage options that are very flexible. Additionally, their Trustpilot score is 4.6 stars out of 5, which is pretty impressive. They also offer free strategies and indicators that come with joining their newsletter, which will be linked down below in the description for you in case you'd like to grab some of those free PDFs. This also includes their free ebook that you can get by joining the newsletter. In addition to this, LonghornFX offers free daily analysis with their viewers to keep up to date with what's going on in the markets. If you'd like to see more about LonghornFX, check out the link down below in the description and see if they are a fit for you after doing your own due diligence. Now onto the video. Some of you may be wondering what the heck just happened with the Canadian dollar. Well, in this video, I'm going to dive in. We're going to talk about the Canadian dollar, we're going to talk about gold, and we'll talk a little bit about the indices as well. Let's jump in. All right, guys, so we're taking a look at the US dollar against the Canadian dollar, and you can see we just had a absolute let's call it falling off of a cliff here on the dollar CAD. As basically what happened today, the Bank of Canada decided to actually surprise rate hike by 25 basis points. Now, the reason that this is so impactful to the market is not just that they raised rates, but that they were actually expected to not raise rates at all. They were expected to keep rates at 0 basis points rate hiked and stay at the exact same level. So again, when you get surprises like this, here's the overnight rate. You can see, again, forecast was 4.5%. Then the actual news came out at 4.75%. Now, what does a rate hike actually entail for a currency? Usually it causes a growth or a strengthening of the currency that we're talking about. So in this case, when we talk about US dollar versus Canadian dollar, if the Canadian dollar strengthens a lot, the dollar has to give, right? So the Canadian dollar strengthened tremendously here off of this surprise hike, and you can see it's pretty apparent across the board. Here's EuroCAD, which saw a massive decline. Here's CAD yen, where the Canadian dollar strengthened dramatically against the Japanese yen. And these are big moves, guys. Here's the CAD JPY at one point moved 76 pips in a single 1 hour chart. This is a huge move. So the question is this actually a catalyst that could persist and give us a longer term push to the upside? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, this is actually pretty strong. So if I'm looking at something like CAD JPY, I'll be looking for pullbacks because I think this actually could give us more room to the upside, especially when we compare something like CAD JPY. When we go to the watch list, we can see CAD JPY is already listed as a possible buy signal for the EDGEFINDER. So is gold. We'll talk about gold momentarily. Overall, CAD JPY still gets a very strong positive score, +4. And one thing I want to point out is if we go to the Smart Money Tracker tab, we can take a look. Let's go ahead and get off the metals for a moment. We'll go to all charts and we can see that the Japanese yen especially has a very short bias. And I can imagine with this increased surprise rate hike that the Canadian dollar may sort of adjust. Maybe institutional money may lift some of their short exposure on the CAD JPY. So if I was going to trade a CAD pair, it would probably be CAD JPY. And again, what would I be looking for? Well, again, let's take a look at this 30-minute chart. We'll go a little bit more lower time frame on this. So again, we had the big pop here off of the surprise rate hike. So I'm not going to chase. I'm not going to be looking to buy up in this area. But if we get a pullback, I think that there could be a nice opportunity to catch something like a 50 or 61.8% retracement before we perhaps see the CAD strengthen a bit more. These surprise rate hikes can actually cause some pretty good upward trends to persist for a while, or downward trends, of course, if it is something to the contrary. But in the Canadian dollar's case, this actually looks really strong. So if you're looking at something like EuroCAD, if you're looking for continuation plays, I was going to say look for breakouts below this 1.43 mark, but it seems like the market is already ahead of me. We'll see if this can maintain itself. Watch how these candles close. Of course, by the time you guys see this video, there will be some time delay. from the 30 minutes or 1 hour charts that I'm looking at. So just be aware of that. But what I'm generally looking for on some of these CAD pairs, especially CAD yen, which is the one I'm interested in, is continuation pullback plays. So pullbacks, continuations, and I do like how this chart looks on the higher time frames as well. Here's your 4 hour chart, nice break above, nice upward trend overall. This is definitely a chart I'd like to be a participant in on a pullback after a strong fundamental catalyst like we saw today. So that's where I'm at with the CAD pair reaction so far. Now let's talk about a position that I'm already in. I've got a gold trade open, and yeah, it's an interesting one to watch, to say the very least. Before the CAD rate hike, we saw the the gold market rally very strong. And now you can actually see that following the Bank of Canada's decision to raise interest rates, the price of gold has been suppressed back down to around 1960 at the time of recording this video. Now, this is a trading signal that I shared inside of our Discord channel. This is what it looks like, and this is where I shared the trade. I initially risked a larger stop loss, but ended up tightening my stop loss. Part of the reason was that we have a strong overall upward trend on the weekly and daily charts. The COT data shows strong institutional buying on gold, as well as a pullback that I got intraday on this entry. My entry, I think, was actually not an issue at all. We had a great entry, pulled back to the 1956 level, and I alerted this signal to members within our Discord channel. Now we saw the price break out here this morning, but again, now we're trading back inside the range. I'll stay in my gold long until we break. If we break underneath and hit my stop loss, I'll be out of the trade, and I'm looking for an expansion back up into the previous high to see if we can get it. If you guys would like access to our VIP group, we do have an available discount right now for you. If you would like access to the Discord channel, there's a link at the top of the description. It's going to take you to a point where you can message in and ask one of our support reps for membership. If you would like access to membership, again, send us a message at the very top of the description. We'll also put it in the pinned comment down below so that you can message our support reps for entries and exits from our Discord channel, as well as all of our strategies and the community chat rooms that we have available. So again, this is a trade that I'm in personally. We'll see if we can hold above. My goal is to see if we can get back to the highs and start breaking out again. I'll trail my stop loss into profit and see if I can catch a bigger runner to the upside. So far, it's looking okay. We'll see how this decides to go forward from here. Let's also take a look now at retail sentiment. Comparing things across the board here today might be interesting, as it is a very active day in the markets with this rate hike surprise. Let's take a look first at commodities. You can see gold maintains kind of a 50-50 exposure at the time of recording, while indices are very short, 68, 71, 76% respectively when we take a look at the top most shorted indices by retail traders. This actually gives me extra confirmation to the upside on indices, so let's go back and talk about perhaps one of my favorites, the S&P 500. The S&P 500 hit a level of resistance, the previous high around 4,300, just barely touched it and fell apart here this morning. This candle was during our live stream, 9:30 a.m. US Eastern, when the US stock market gets opening up. So we saw an initial push followed by rejection in this area. If you're a bull, what I'm looking for is a breakout here above, perhaps looking for a continuation there off of the lower time frames, but also I like the higher time frames as well. Here's your 4 hour chart. You can see it's really, really strong, and we've had sort of a time correction here. And what I mean by that is we've traded sideways for a while. So a breakout above could be very meaningful, and looking at indices from a long perspective, I'm looking for that breakout. So we'll see if we can find that going forward for the rest of this week. Check out a little bit of commentary from myself and Gary this morning. We talked a little bit about some of the markets, so check this out. We'll go to Gary here now on the show.
You know what? I come back down to what has the technicals been telling us before this actually happened? Because a lot of the times news is really just a push towards our technical setups, because our technicals are really the destination where the market really wants to go. So if I look at the technicals and I go ahead and look at the breakouts of what the markets are doing, is this in line with our technicals? And so just on this Aussie CAD position right here, we do notice that the market did create this wave 1 pullback, wave 3, now it's in a pullback. So the fact that we've seen some some strength out of the CAD is actually due for a correction move before the market go ahead and sets up for a next move. Now this could also be just a 1, 2, 3 retracement move, and the market could go ahead and start taking out the lows and start setting up a bearish move as well. But then we have to go back to the technicals again and look at the larger time frame. And if we look at the larger time frame, here it is right here. So this is the larger time frame here. We got the market creating this wave 1. Then we had an irregular flat setup. Then to wave 3, we had a pullback. Market came back up to this resistance level. If this resistance level holds, then yeah, we could be heading back down to 86.60. So, and it's not going to go down in one full sweep. There's going to be wave structure going down, and it also needs confirmation. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to confirm here, whether the trend is actually indeed bearish, or are we going to be bullish on the Aussie CAD. It depends on what happens with the data that's coming out over the next few weeks to define whether or not we're in a strong trend. So, Nick, I think this is all expected. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was surprised because looking at the inflationary reports that came out over the last couple of months, they did see some lower inflation year on year, and so I thought they would probably keep it at unchanged. We did predict a rate hike with the Aussies because of the inflation rate being high at 68%. So, or 68%, sorry, 68. So we did anticipate that to be a rate hike. This one, not so much. I thought they're going to keep the rates unchanged, but be honest with you, it's not a big surprise based on the way the markets are setting up technically. I mean, we can jump to US dollar CAD. I know you spoke about that a little bit. US dollar CAD right here. Price is moving back to support here. I mean, it's sitting inside this range, this tighter range right here. And so now that it's tested the top right here, we're expecting price to go down to the bottom. Now the question is, does it hold to that support? And if it does, we'll look for a further move to the downside. If it doesn't, we can see price going back up to, well, firstly this level. If it breaks that level, then of course up top here. So it all comes down to technicals, man. You know, a lot of traders get surprised by news and they get sort of in a panic situation because they don't expect the unexpected. And I say, look at the technicals. Technicals are really going to help you be able to find what's going on with the market.
Hey, guess what? I just found a video made just for you. Click this video to help with your trading, and thanks for watching.